Red fire dragon smell speech, stare at her one eye, dry angry way, unexpectedly don't have that ability, that you come to what? The cloud dances to pick eyebrow, the corner of mouth slightly raises, smile some evil like, come to see old friend, moreover, also need you to help a small favor. Help? The red fire dragon frowned at her and said, what can I do for you this time? It's just a little busy. Just like last time, I'd like to borrow some blood from you. Anyway, it was very generous last time. What's more, it was so big that it borrowed a little blood. However, cloud dance where think of, her that words just a fall, a wind angry burning breath, straight spray. Roar. The red fire dragon roared and took off. His eyes were angry, and he was furious. Well, you girl, it's said that when you become a summoner, you'll let me out. I see that you just want to cheat me again and again. Cloud Dance didn't expect that the red fire dragon was so angry. Quickly set off 7 levels of defense, to resist its anger and oppression. What's your temper? Don't I just want to lend you some blood? I don't think I'm going to get angry. Borrow? The first time is to borrow, the second time, you are directly to seize, this third time, you even want to cheat? You human beings really treat me as a fool. As he spoke angrily, his tusks ground and rattled, and the rage in the air leaped. We can see how angry it is. But, after the cloud dance hears the speech, it is brow deep lock. The second time. After she left the forbidden area, she just stepped in for the second time. How is it, when was the second time you came to take your dragon's blood? Who is it? Yunwu looked up at it and asked. Red fire dragon is gnashing his teeth, there is disdain like, a month ago, is the man who came to you, said you need to borrow, Lao Tzu's dragon blood is anyone can borrow it? Of course I don't want to. That guy, however, tried to break Lao Tzu's dragon tendon directly. Lao Tzu broke his hand bone and hurt him all over. I don't think he dares to be arrogant. The red fire dragon snorted. But it seems to ignore directly, oneself also extremely embarrassed, not only was he took dragon blood, but also cultivated for more than half a month to recover the fact. Otherwise, it will not, at the mention of borrowing dragon's blood, give fried hair like dry anger. Hearing the words, the cloud dances and shakes my heart. You broke your hand. Injured all over. He come back to the imperial city just to get dragon's blood for her. But why didn't he mention half a word on the way back? So, little girl, I tell you, you either come to let me out, or you just go away and want to borrow my dragon blood. There's no way. Pan Teng in the palace above the red dragon, impatient angry mouth. A completely non-negotiable attitude. However, after listening to his words, Yunwu could also tell why he was angry. What if I told you I was a summoner? Cloud Dance hands embraced chest, looking up at it said. Summoner. Red dragon smell speech, beast eye suddenly a bright toward her sweep down. However, he looked down at her suspiciously, didn't you just say that you didn't have the ability? Now I believe what you say. Is it really good to be Lao Tzu? You have the ability to lift the Millennium Seal for me now. I will lend you as much dragon blood as you want. One more sentence. The cloud danced around the corner of his mouth and said, Brother Long, you're quite clever. You know how to use a strong method. However, I'm not afraid to tell you that I've become a summoner, but I really can't untie the seal for you. The red fire dragon snorted, I've become a summoner, but I can't untie it. Do you think I really believe what you said? Looking at the red fire dragon hovering in the air, the cloud danced and his eyes sank slightly. However, the next second, the corner of her mouth suddenly stirred up a sneer. She moved under her feet, passed in a straight line, and stood in the middle of the hall under the red fire dragon. The battle of contracts. Drink softly. At that moment, a dazzling color light flashed, and a mysterious array of mighty and powerful breath suddenly gushed out from the bottom of Yunwu's feet. It was like a cage that never escaped, rising and rolling away with the red fire dragon hovering above. When feeling that breath, the red fire dragon's body suddenly froze. That's when you see clearly the mysterious pattern array under the cloud dance, your face suddenly changed. Contract array? It was as if I saw something I was extremely afraid of. I roared and almost didn't think about it. My body twisted violently and went straight to its magma pool. Plop! The hot magma splashed wildly. Spread to that around some cannibal rattan and snake python, a burst of hissing and rustling raised. Cloud Dance looked at the red fire dragon behavior, suddenly a burst of laughter. At this time, the phantom of the contract array is put away. In fact, Yunwu doesn't really open the contract array. It just leads out the breath and illusion of the contract array, and shows it whether she is a real summoner or not. Unexpectedly, red fire dragon reaction is so big. However, Yunwu, the novice of the summoner, has no idea. Warcraft is generally contracted by the summoner, whether it is equal contract or master-servant contract. Once Warcraft is contracted, it means that they will lose their freedom and even be driven by the weak human in their eyes. That is a great shame for the advanced Warcraft who has borne wisdom. In particular, once the master-servant contract is branded, it is a lifelong contract. Unless he dies, he will not be free all his life. If he lives, he will live, and if he dies, he will die. Sounds cruel. But for human beings, they like this kind of master-servant contract most, because in that way, human beings don't have to worry that Warcraft is too powerful to bite themselves. Of course, hundreds of years ago, the summoners in the whole continent disappeared inexplicably, which also made Warcraft in the whole continent stable for hundreds of years. Today, the red fire dragon suddenly felt the bondage and terror of the contract formation. How could he not be so frightened? The seal of its millennium imprisonment has not been lifted yet. If it is given a contract by human beings, it will become a contract beast. How can it survive? It's better to hit the wall and die. Brother Long, are you going to be a shrinking turtle? The voice of Cloud Dance, laughing. You're the turtle under the magma, an angry voice came. Don't you believe me? I was just about to give you a performance. Why did you hide back in your hometown? Yes? Are you scared? The last sentence, Cloud Dance loud voice. You fart. Inside the magma, there was a sudden surge of turbulence. The red fire dragon must be so angry that it was writhing under the magma. Yunwu didn't really intend to irritate it. The original joking voice suddenly became serious. Well, Brother Long, just now I was just playing with you. Your strength is so strong, even if I'm a summoner, I'm not able to contract you. Just now, I'm just showing you my identity as a summoner, so that you can believe what I said is true. This, she gave it enough face, let it can have a step down. The anger calmed down. Half a ring. In the magma pool, Gulu rolled, wow. A huge dragon broke through the magma again. This time, the red fire dragon did not hover in the air, but around the magma pool. That pair of lantern big beast eyes, look at the Cloud Dance standing in the middle of the hall. You've become a summoner, so you'll break my seal. Brother Long, who do you think is more capable than the summoner ancestor of our Cloud family hundreds of years ago? Cloud Dance asked. Red Fire Dragon glanced at her, but he didn't think about it. Of course, it's the Cloud world. Otherwise, how could I have been imprisoned here by him, you little girl? It's a long way off. It's the 8th prince of the Dragon Clan. Even in the Dragon Clan, its strength is not the top, but it can't be imprisoned by human beings. That's it. This millennium imprisonment contract is set by my ancestors. Even if I want to release it for you now, I still have no ability, unless I contract you and take you out of here. Dream. Lao Tzu is the 8th prince of the Dragon Clan. How can he condescend to be a contract beast of human beings? Red Fire Dragon roars angrily. Yunwu shrugged, that's right. You don't want to condescend, and I can't lift the imprisonment contract for you, so I'll tell you, I can't lift the seal for you for the time being. At this time, the red fire dragon's eyes narrowed slightly, but it was quiet. This girl is right. If the Millennium contract of Cloud World is so easy to terminate, it will not be closed for hundreds of years. However, this little girl has only been out for 2 or 3 months. When she comes back, she has not only become a summoner, but also reached the middle of the 7th level. Although, in its eyes, humans 7 levels of strength, the same as the ants, but this girl, but also has the mysterious power of witchcraft. Give her 10 or 20 years to grow up, it must be another scene. It has been here for hundreds of years, and it's been in the blink of an eye for more than 10 years. After thinking about it, Red Fire Dragon began to speak in a low voice. Okay, I will trust you again for a while, but you don't want to play tricks on me. You know, once the summoner makes a promise in the form of an oath, it's like making a contract to himself. If you don't come to unseal me when you have the ability, you will suffer from your own retaliation. Regurgitation. Smell speech, Cloud Dance One Lang. So serious. At the beginning, she really just casually said that she wanted to fool it first. Is that a contract? Of course, I didn't tell you earlier, otherwise, I'll come back and explain so much to you. What are you doing? Cloud Dance converges in the heart surprised, haha smile way. It seems that we can't promise casually in the future, otherwise, the consequences will be really serious. Red Dragon is satisfied. Finally, he gave her a direct look and said, this time, what are you doing with dragon blood? Do you want to drink it again? At this time, Yunwu sighed and looked at it with a helpless smile. Brother Long, with your strength, don't you really see that I'm different? What's the difference? The red fire dragon beast Mao swept on her body, also didn't seem to see to have what dissimilarity, however, the nose smelled after smelling. Frowned, how do you have a smell of dead body? Dead bodies? Smell speech, Cloud Dance, brain black line straight down. However, to put it bluntly, there is no difference. Because my body is indeed dead, even if I become a summoner, it also limits my future cultivation. Now one of the only medicines that can revive my body is your dragon blood. So, I'm here to borrow some from you. What? The body is dead? The red fire dragon hears the words, and there is a flash of amazement in the depth of the beast's eyes. Although it is a beast, it has seen the world. It has lived for thousands of years, but it has never heard of a human. The body is dead, but it can still live as lively as ordinary people. Can't we get rid of the dead? No wonder this little girl borrowed blood from her for the first time. You're a monster. The clouds danced and laughed without saying a word. Red Fire Dragon also continued to low way. Okay, you talk about this, Lao Tzu is not so stingy, I borrow your blood. Then you can lend me this place by the way. Yes. You can do whatever you want. You can borrow Laozi's nest. 3 days later. In Yunda General's mansion, the sick 9th lady, who was injured in the hunting competition and had been lying for nearly 3 months, finally got better this morning. Not only can walk out of bed, but also out of the house in the sun. The news soon spread not only in Yunfu, but also to the Empress of the palace. However, at this time of Snow Willow, but has no intention to take care of that waste. Because, just got the news, she sent out 2 big assassins, died in the outskirts of Los Angeles. In addition, even Lu Sen, who made medicine for her, died in the same place with dozens of bodyguards. Her beautiful face was distorted at the news. Bang! A slap falls, the tea table made of high-grade wood is directly broken into pieces. Waste! Kneeling on the ground, the man in black trembled in horror and quickly lowered his head. Master, calm down. Although my subordinates are incompetent and can't find out the murderer, this time at the scene, our people found some traces of thunder. My subordinates have checked them one by one these days. 70% of the thunder came from Nangong Yi, the son of the national master. Nangongji? Smell speech, snow willow that charming cold eye ground, streamer flash, immediately, eyes squint. Go on. My subordinates have found out that Nangong-yi has a master named Qianjizi, who is good at making all kinds of weapons. He is a free practitioner. Nangong-yi has been making weapons with his master since he was a child. One of the weapons is thunder. And 6 days ago, Nangongji also happened to be in Los Angeles and participated in the Dragon Pavilion auction. When the man in black said this, he seemed to think of another thing. According to the large number of deaths and injuries, my subordinates went to investigate Lu Sen, and inadvertently found out that Lu Sen was sending someone to chase and kill a woman on that day, and that woman happened to be in the same room with Nangongji on that day. This is the description and painting of the woman's face by the subordinate who specially let people see her. Then the man in black reached out and took out a picture from his arms and handed it up. It was a very ordinary portrait of a woman, but it was on that day that Cloud danced disguised 9 images. However, the she in the picture is a pair of purple pupils. Shuelyo took it and opened it to see the purple pupil. A cold flash from the fundus of the eye, slender fingers twist, a black fire up, in a twinkling of an eye, the picture was burned to ashes. Roll down, immediately someone from the police station must find out the woman for me, and send someone to look at Nangongji. Yes. Ning Yuan. It is the courtyard where Yunwu lives now. It can be said that among the many sisters in hospital, it is the most spacious and luxurious one. She is a sick seedling of waste, but get this honor, will not be envied. However, who let her have a Cloud master as a backer? Who dares to say anything about the whole Cloud mansion? This day, in a leisurely afternoon, the Cloud dance is on the feldspar of the pavilion in the courtyard, half lying in the warm sun, thinking. She has been out of the forbidden area for 2 days. However, her body was not resurrected. Clearly 5 things altogether, but, she exhausted the way, but still did not play any effect. Why on earth? She thought about it for 2 days, but she still didn't figure it out. Is it true that we can only wait for the dragon to pour out evil? However, when the clouds frown and meditate. There were several footsteps outside the hospital. It seemed that one of them was extremely calm, at least above the 7th level. You little bitch, you really have a long life. Why haven't you been dead in the past 3 months? Sharp voice, suddenly gloomy came. The Cloud spirit water, dressed in a flaming blue dress and gold fork jewelry, is leading a man and a woman to the Cloud dance. As soon as I came near, the smell of choking smell came with the wind. Cloud dance eyebrow tiny see you, opened eyes of dynasty to come person to glance to sweep one eye. There is a man and a woman behind Yunling Shui. Female, about 23 or 44, wearing a light yellow sleeve dress, facial features are pretty good, but her sharp eyes, with a sense of cold and fierce. The man, in his 20s or 70s, was dressed in ordinary black. He was tall and handsome, and his breath was introverted. There was calm in his eyes, but Yunwu seemed that there was a trace of ruthless indifference in the calm. Different from the woman in yellow, in this man, I don't feel any murderous, just like a passerby. A person can hide the breath like this, even Cloud dance, can't help but look at him a few more eyes. However, her look attracted a teasing laugh, yo. 9 younger sister, you stare at a man like this, also don't feel blush? Tut, I really feel red for you, but it's no wonder that you are born a cheap hoof. As soon as the words came out, it immediately attracted a smile from the woman in yellow behind her. Cousin, is this your 9th sister? Usually, I just listen to what people say. Today's view is really so special. Yun Lingshui looked down at the Cloud dance lying on the feldspar and sniffed. In addition to this waste, who else can be so cheeky? Today, Yunqi received an urgent message from her old friend early in the morning. Without a word, she left in a hurry. Since Yunling Shui was brought back from the last hunting competition, he has been cultivated for a month. However, the first place in the contest not only gives Yunqinger a place to get, but also the place for the crown princess to prepare. But this Cloud family Real de young lady, actually has not fished out anything, all because of Cloud dance this slut. Today, the Cloud master suddenly left, she would not immediately seize the opportunity to give her some good looking. However, that day in the forest, Yunwoo knew martial arts, and she still remembered it. Just then, her visiting cousin is here, and she brings another expert. So, after Yunqi left, Yunlinger immediately brought people. Before she came, in order to avoid trouble, she sent all the others out of Ningyuan long ago. She wants to let Cloud dance, kneel down to beg for mercy, but there is no way to ask for help. Listen to the ear that chirp voice, lying on the feldspar. Cloud dance, the corner of the mouth raised a touch of sneer. At this time, she was in a very bad mood. I remember that someone seems to have lost the surname Cloud. But now, it seems that some people forget what they said. I don't know if that person will blush, too. You slut, I haven't settled with you about that day, but you dare to mention it to me. Cloud spirit water gas get facial expression a change, the Mao bottom fire light new shone. Presumably, it is remembered that she was knocked unconscious by such a waste of her in the hunting match that day. How to think, feel like shame. Yes. Come to me to settle accounts? Why don't you bring more people? Are you afraid of being seen and you'll be beaten down? The Cloud dances, the corners of the mouth evoke the cold arc of ridicule, and the deep part of the beautiful eyes flashes a cold light. She kept a low profile because she was not competent enough, so she had to keep a low profile. If the queen of the whole Zhou dynasty knew that she would not be poisoned secretly, but would be assassinated constantly. However, many times, if you don't provoke others, it doesn't mean others won't provoke you, and the bad nature of human nature is like that. You like to be selective and soft. Obviously, in the eyes of all people now, Yunwoo, the waste material, is a soft persimmon. As soon as Yunling Shui catches the chance, how can he not squeeze it hard? Yunwoo, don't be arrogant to me. You think that if you have your grandfather to support you, you'll be a superior lady, right? I tell you, I'm the legitimate daughter of the Cloud family. You're just a common girl who is inferior to the servants. What qualifications do you have to live in Ningyuan? Mentioning that day, Yunling Shui is like a chicken fight with fried hair. I wish I could strangle Yunwoo immediately. Cousin Ling Shui, why do you talk to such rubbish? Just teach me a lesson. I've been promoted recently, and I just need a person to practice my skills. The woman in yellow, Su Qingmeng, Yunling Shui's mother's niece, is a cousin. Because after a period of time, it is time to enroll students in Shenwang Samurai College. This year, the place where Shenwang Samurai College enrolls students is held in this imperial city. So she came early and stayed in Yunfu for the time being. Yunling Shui is Yunfu's daughter, and some relatives. Naturally, Su Qingmeng has more contact with her, more or less with the idea of climbing. Well, I was promoted to the second level just a few days ago. Let's play with this scrap. Cloud spirit water suddenly in Ruthless smile way. The whip in his hand had been drawn from his waist. Su Qingmeng's eyes flashed fiercely, and the corners of his mouth raised high. Instead of pulling out his sword, he took out a sharp dagger. Cousin Ling Shui, I heard you said before that she can use the long whip martial arts. Unexpectedly, you put the whip away. This time, let's change a new play. Su Jingmeng laughed a little vicious. Cloud spirit water smell speech, suddenly realized like smile, will whip up, also drew out a dagger. You left me right, I want to make her completely useless, the best, this life can only lie in bed. Think of oneself lying on the bed for a month, Cloud spirit water stares at the eye of Cloud dance, more and more fierce ferocious. Listen to their dialogue, Cloud dance, lips slightly raised, dark as the bottom of the eyes, a trace of bloody murderous gas flashed by. Lift Mao, quite chilly looking at Cloud Ling Water and Su Qing Dream, how do you want to play? I'll stay with you. Plain voice, but unconsciously in the air with a trace of unknown danger, cold infiltration heart. Holding the dagger, Yun Lingshui shivered subconsciously to the eyes of Cloud dancing. A sense of inexplicable danger surged from her heart. What's going on? How can she feel like a sick and weak waste without any force? Blink, once again want to be sure to see in the past, this time, Cloud's spirit water but did not feel anything from her body, is still that static if did not move calm. His face covered up his morbid pallor. However, inexplicable, let her heart angry of fury. You're such a loser, you want to play with us. Today, I will really waste you. I don't believe that my grandfather will protect you as a waste. The angry voice falls down, the Cloud spirit water body shape moves, holds the dagger hand, already need attack to Cloud dance right wrist. At the same time, Su Jingmeng sneers at the cold smile, without any hesitation. He moves his foot and with the force of 3 steps, falls straight on the left arm of Cloud dance. One wanted to pick her right arm, the other wanted to scrap her left arm. It's not the first time that they have done so. Yunwu looks at the dagger, and his eyes are cold and sharp. She, low-key, does not mean that she can tolerate being bullied. The figure lying on the feldspar moves up strangely. When 2 attacks fail, he gets up and grabs the dagger from Yun Lingshui. At the moment, the cold light flashes by. A cry of pain, almost in that moment. Yun Lingshui was startled, and his face turned white. He pressed his left hand and blood came out of her wrist. Su Jingmeng was stunned. Immediately, a stream of poison flashed through his eyes, and the third-order fighting spirit suddenly surged up. It's really some martial arts skills, so don't blame me for being impolite. Draw out the long sword, attack the sword body with fighting spirit, and attack it as fast as lightning. Kill her, kill her. Cloud spirit water endure pain, angry shout. The Cloud dances, the corners of the mouth outlined slightly, laughs cold to the bone. Silver flash, sword fall, shadow. Su Jingmeng looked at the pierced shadow, frowned, cold eyes turned, sweeping around. But found that the shadow of the Cloud disappeared. How is that possible? Doesn't it mean she doesn't know anything about force? Sick seedlings. Just now she was standing in front of her. With the speed of her hand, how could the sword fall and disappear? This scene, but also let's stand on one side, has been indifferent expression of the man, a frown, I flash a doubt. This is the legendary 9th lady of the 6 seedling waste. Cloud spirit water is also open eyes, Fundus is that surprised with consternation, there is a trace of confusion, eyes straight around swept. What about people? Swept a circle, unexpectedly did not see the trace of Cloud dance completely, even breath all have no. It felt as if she had disappeared out of thin air. How is that possible? She is a waste. How can she have this ability? But, are you looking for me? Don't look for it. I'm by your side. A strange cold voice suddenly came from Su Jingmeng's ear. Su Jingmeng's face sank, almost subconsciously. With a long sword in his hand, he split toward the sound source. The sharp sword falls, but it is still the air. Now, if Su Jingmeng doesn't have a sense of crisis, it's stupid. If a waste can achieve this kind of haunting situation, then what kind of waste? You want my life? Yunwu's indifferent voice finally came from her front. Su Jingmeng looked forward, Cloud dancing figure, just like the general flash in the void, stood in front of her in the blink of an eye. Su Jingmeng's eyes narrowed slightly, and her cold eyes flashed a touch of elite. She stared at her and said, originally, you have been pretending. You are not a waste at all. That's why the old master attaches so much importance to you, isn't it? This question, she said very definitely. But Su Jingmeng's words, Cloud Lingshui's eyes on one side open wide, what's he pretending? How is that possible? Who is so stupid, obviously has the strength, but pretends to be the waste? More than 10 years. He was bullied and beaten bloody many times, and almost lost his life several times. Just to be a waste? Smell speech, Cloud dance, eyes as dark as a deep pool, sneer, You are so smart, then you should know, when you enter here, you have to leave life as a price. What a big breath. Su Jingmeng's eyes flashed darkly. Even if you are a waste, today, I will make you a real waste. Su Jingmeng yelled angrily, and the long sword in his hand attacked and dyed the sword Qi, and stabbed away quickly. The third-level fighting spirit is strong enough to split people in two. The cloud dances the corner of the mouth to sneer slightly yang, the body shape doesn't move, so looking at that sharp sword to split toward her head. Cloud spirit water see this, the bottom of the heart a joy, shout, a sword killed her. Su Jingmeng is quick and ruthless. Brush. The sound of sword cutting through the air. However, in the next moment, Yun Lingshui and Su Jingmeng are surprised to take a breath. Unarmed? No, it should be said that the two slender fingers were intercepted by the sharp sword. Su Jingmeng's face changed slightly after taking a breath, because she could do her best with this sword. But now, the sword in her hand is between Yunwu's fingers. She can't move at all. She is exerting herself in her hand and still doesn't move. Looking at the cloud dance that still smiles indifferently, Su Jingmeng feels a sense of danger in her heart at this moment. I want to take the sword back. Cloud dance looking at that facial expression, some ugliness of Su Jing dream, the corner of the mouth slightly rises, this is yourself sent to come, your life, I accept. The voice was light, but the blood was heavy. I've heard that Su Jingmeng hasn't responded. Cloud dance did not let her what reaction, holding her long sword shuang finger, suddenly a force, will her front area. Holding the sword tightly, Su Jingmeng is almost a subconscious forward rush. Click. The sharp blade is broken. Su Jingmeng's eyes flashed with horror. It was a good sword made by a famous teacher. How could she break it with 2 fingers? However, Su Jingmeng's horror was still in his eyes. A flash of cold light. The broken sword on Yunwu's fingertip has been brushed across like a phantom, and it has been wiped on Su Jingmeng's neck and throat. However, at this time, a black shadow flashed. Su Jingmeng's figure, at that moment, was pulled by a strong force and thrown away. The big knife draws out, brush, a cold on, a flash, the strong breath of the later stage of 7 steps vacates, straight attack cloud dance. Bang! Broken sword, 2 forces conflict, splashed a spark, the next second, 2 figures each step back. Mid-7th stage. Just now, the man in black, looking at the cloud dance, couldn't hide his astonishment. The legendary Miss Yun Jiajiu is 15 years old. She is not born with any training force, and she is also born sick. But now this 9 young lady, can be what waste disease seedling. Cloud dance is also pick eyebrow to see this man, use of attack, like a warrior and like an assassin, it is some fresh. After Su Jingmeng stabilized herself, she felt a tingling pain on her neck. She stroked her hand and dyed her hand red with blood. Just now, fortunately, the man's speed is fast enough, otherwise, at this time, her throat is not just a small bloodstain, but a direct cut. However, Su Jingmeng's eyes were very gloomy and angry. How dare you hurt me? Although the Su family doesn't want the scenery of General Yun's military mansion, in Mengcheng, the Su family has a head and a face. She is a daughter of the Su family. When was she so embarrassed? What are you still doing? Cut off her head immediately. The angry man in black ordered. The man hears speech, still calm and indifferent on Junyi's face. But the action was not slow at all. The big sword danced, the tall figure flashed, and the action was very fast. The cloud dances at the foot of a jump, body shape straight to the mid-air. Men see this, but also a jump, straight after. However, at the moment when he rushed up, the cloud dancing figure was a distortion, and the residual shadow remained. Mana Leng, the next second, seems to think of something, quickly looked down at the pavilion below, at that moment, his calm eyes, and finally appeared fluctuations, pupil shrink. Stop it! Shouts reverberate in the air. In front of Su Jingmeng, a cold light flashed, and the broken sword went straight into the throat. Before the blood spattered out, Su Jingmeng's body was hit hard with his fist. Oh! There was a bone click. See only, her that body, already like an arc to throw out. Bang! Su Jingmeng bumps into the stone pillar of the pavilion, pours out blood, and falls to the ground without any movement. These things happen very fast, I'm afraid, even 10 seconds are useless. The cloud spirit water reaction comes over at the moment, the facial expression changes greatly, almost rush to come in the past in a hurry, exclaim, cousin. Want to help her, but was her neck, straight blood, with the eyes of the stare, scared. Dead? Killed by that trash. In mid-air, the man jumps down and doesn't attack Yunwu. Instead, he goes to Su Jingmeng and confirms her death before his face sinks. He raised his head, glanced at Yunwu and said coldly, if you kill her, the Su family will not let you go. Yunwu looked at him with a smile and said, are you the Su family? The man's eyes are cold, no. Let's go back and say that the person who killed her secretly protected Yunwu. The first killer of Tianlong Rudder is Fengxing. Cloud Dance said calmly. The man's eyes narrowed coldly, staring at her, why? The Cloud dances, hears the speech, does not speak. His body moved. Under the man's eyes, his figure stood in front of him in the blink of an eye. He hooked his lips and said coldly, I'll save your life. This sentence, very crazy, but, she is not joking. Kill him. She can do it. Mana Leng, looking at her eyes, cold eyes bottom flashed a touch of undercurrent. Silence for more than 10 seconds. I'll take it with you, but remember, the next time I come, it's time to kill you. Deep cold voice, after the language falls, the man takes up Su Jingmeng's corpse, jumps up in the air and leaves soon. It's your turn. Cloud Dance at this time, slightly turned his head, looking at the cloud spirit water. Yunling Waterleng is silly for a second, just reaction, face a change, repeatedly back. You, what do you want to do? I'll tell you, I'm the first lady of the cloud family. What's next? Smell the cloud dance of speech, the corner of the mouth outline rise, but smile make people feel creepy. Do you think that if you know my secret, I will let you live just because you are the next in line? Cloud dance hands, more than a sharp dagger, the pace slowly approaching. Yun Lingshui unconsciously took a breath and turned pale. Don't come here. I won't tell you your secret, and I won't come to you again. Su Jingmeng's end has scared her. At this time, she wants to run or shout for people to come. But before she came, she had sent everyone around her. At this time, even if she broke her throat, I'm afraid no one found out. But what I believe more than what you say is my own means. The cloud dances and swings the dagger in the hand, the cold light twinkles, and the blood under the eyes is extremely cold. Yun Lingshui felt that she really wanted to kill her, and she was scared to retreat. Don't kill me. You can do anything you want me to do. I know a secret. As long as you don't kill me, I can tell you. Secret? Smell speech, Cloud Dance quite interested of stir up eyebrow, however, but didn't speak. Seeing that she seemed interested, Yun Lingshui quickly seduced the enemy and said, it's about your mother. As long as you promise not to kill me, I'll tell you what I know. Her mother. This, let Cloud Dance slowly forward step stopped. In my memory, her so-called mother disappeared as soon as she was 1 year old. This cloud spirit water was only a few years older than her. What would she know? However, thinking of her mother Lu Qingyue, if she really knew something, it was possible. Come on, if it's of any use, I can consider saving your life, but if it's fooling me. The words behind Cloud Dance didn't go on, but the corner of the mouth outlined a sneer, some gloomy like staring at her, the bottom of the eye didn't cover up. Cloud spirit water hit a chilly Jean, feel for the first time, wish never came here to provoke her. This secret, when I was a child, I overheard my mother say that in those years, your mother did not disappear by herself, but was taken away by a man. Cloud Dance doesn't seem to be very interested to see to her, pick eyebrow, so. Yun Lingshui frowned, thought for a moment, and finally said, after that, my mother sent housekeeper Wu to take people to look for her. Finally, she found your mother, but she didn't bring her back. It seems that she was imprisoned by housekeeper Wu Gang, and even her father didn't know about it. Although, this secret was overheard when she was playing hide and seek when she was very young, later, she almost forgot it. Today, if not to this point, I'm afraid she would not suddenly remember. However, over the years, she did not know whether the secret existed or not. However, it was a secret. After hearing about Yunwu, I didn't feel much in my heart. For one thing, she is just a ghost from another world. For another thing, her memory of that mother is very limited, at most, that year of the baby. But the information she got was of some use to her. Is there anything in the back? Cloud Dance looks at her to ask away. Yun Lingshui shook his head and secretly stepped back. No, after housekeeper Wu comes back from the outside, you can ask housekeeper Wu. He must know about it. Wu Gang. That housekeeper, she has long wanted to go to another meeting, but she has just come back these days. In addition to worrying about the fact that her body has not been revived, Wu Gang has also gone out to work and has not come back. However, Yun Lingshui saw Yunwu meditating, took the opportunity, turned around and ran out of the yard. Brush. 2 silver needles, shot across the air, pierced her back shoulder 2 acupoints. What? I haven't finished my words, so I want to run. Yunwu's cold voice came from behind her. Yun Lingshui was shocked and couldn't move. She wanted to use Yuanli to break through the acupoints, but she just broke through the 2nd level, so she didn't see enough. Feeling the approaching of Cloud Dance, my heart is inexplicably cold. You said that as long as I tell the secret, you won't kill me. Greed for life and fear of death in the hearts of the vast majority of people, absolutely ranked first. The Cloud dances the corner of the mouth to outline, smile lightly, I don't kill you. In fact, in the face of Yunqi, Yunwu didn't intend to kill her from the beginning, even if the Yun Lingshui really deserved to die. However, to be honest, what Yunqi has done for her has made his face more and more important. But not killing her doesn't mean indulging her. When she still needs to conserve her energy, she brings people to make trouble and knows her strength, which naturally requires her to pay a price. What do you want to do? Yunling Water can only turn her eyes. Yu Guang sees Yunwu holding a silver needle into her skin. At the beginning of a burst of numbness, tingling feeling, slowly, as if the skin some swelling feeling, slowly spread around. What have you done to me? Yun Lingshui was a little frightened at the bottom of his heart. Cloud dance, smile, no words. It's time to break the peace in this imperial city. The more muddy water stirs, the clearer the water behind. In the East Wing Hospital of Yunfu, Lu Qinshui is leading the doctor to diagnose Yun Lingshui, who suddenly falls ill. But when the doctor came out of the inner room in a hurry with a frightened look on his face, Lu Qinshui could not help but frown and follow him out. Dr. Li, what's the matter? This man was fine yesterday. How can he be in a coma now? The middle-aged man, who was called Dr. Li, looked at the inner room and said with a sigh, Madam 5, if I have not made a wrong diagnosis, the first symptom of Miss 3 is very similar to the infectious plague that happened in Los Angeles and Shuiqing some time ago. I'm sorry that I'm not good at it. I can't do anything about Miss 3's disease. You'd better ask for another expert. With that, Dr. Li quickly picked up his medical box and stepped out of the room. It's like walking slowly for fear of being infected with the plague. Plague? Lu Qin water Aleng, immediately, reaction come over, at the moment, face a change. There are also several maids in the room. Some time ago, Water City and Los Angeles made so much trouble that infectious plague species have also spread to the Imperial City. It's said that the infected ones are puffy at first, then they will fall into coma. If there is no treatment, they will explode and die directly. But this cloud spirit water was still alive yesterday. This morning, it was found that she was lying in bed in a coma. Who knows how long she was infected? Madam 5, we'd better leave here first. When the old master comes back, let him ask the Imperial Palace doctor to have a look. Waiting on Lu Qinshui's maid, he quickly came forward and said in a low voice. When Lu Qinshui heard the words, he naturally nodded, but before he left, he told the two maids in the room. You two, who are the close maids of the third lady, will watch the third lady first. Don't leave. If you have any problems, just tell the outside bodyguard. Lu Qinshui finished, led his own maid, and left in a hurry. I saw that the two maids in the house had changed their faces. Didn't they want to be isolated in the plague area to die? Want to leave, but found that, soon, the whole East Chamber courtyard was surrounded by guards outside, directly isolated the East Chamber courtyard. As soon as Yun Qi came back from the outside, he heard that there was a plague in the house, and his third granddaughter was still infected with the plague, so the doctors were helpless. He was so surprised that he even went to the palace without stopping. Morning just passed. Zhou Batian, the emperor of the Zhou dynasty, is discussing some state affairs with Nangangshui, the national teacher, in the imperial garden. Emperor, Old Cloud asks to see you. A little eunuch, afraid of disturbing his majesty, came forward with a light step and reported it in a low voice. Mr. Cloud? When Zhou Beishan's eyebrows are picked. Since he died, Yunqi has rarely entered the imperial palace, except for going to court occasionally. Now he has come to see him. However, without waiting for Zhou Beishan's reply, he saw Yunqi's figure and came quickly from the gravel road. Your Majesty, I have something to ask for. Please don't blame me for being rude. As soon as Yunqi comes forward, he doesn't kneel down. He just opens his mouth respectfully. From his voice, I could tell how much anxiety he had. Zhou Batian looked at him, his eyes were deep, and the corners of his mouth went up. Master Yun doesn't need to be polite. However, since I ascended the throne, I have rarely seen him so anxious. What's the matter? What's the matter? Nangong water on one side never opened his mouth, but just took a sip of tea with a smile. When Yunqi came, he didn't beat around the bush. Your Majesty, my granddaughter, seems to have been infected with a plague and is dying. I want to ask your Majesty's permission to let the imperial doctor go to Yunfu for diagnosis. Plague? Zhou Batian asked, is that the 9 girls? The 9 girls in his mouth are naturally cloud dancing. Yunqi frowned, no, it's the 3rd girl. The doctors in the city are at a loss. Now, we can only ask the imperial palace doctor and his Majesty's permission. When Zhou Batian also toward the side of the eunuch, whispered a command, the little eunuch soon retired. Zhou Batian then said to Yunqi, don't worry, old master. Wait a minute. All the doctors will go directly to Yunfu. I have just discussed with the national master. I'll go back with you. Your Majesty. Nangangshui got up and said gently with a faint smile, let me go down and have a look instead of you. I believe Master Yun will not let your Majesty take risks. Your Majesty, the national master is right. You are a man of gold. You can't make any mistakes. Yunqi also spoke. Zhou Bai's eyes flashed deep and silent, but he didn't insist. That is to say, if you need any herbs, just come to the palace. My lord, there is a question that I have wanted to ask you for a long time. On the carriage back to Yunfu, Yunqi looks at the gentle Nangangshui and finally can't help talking. Nangong said with a smile, if you want to ask me about the summoner who will be born in Yunfu last time, then you must know the answer. Why do you ask again? As soon as the words came out, Yunqi raised his eyebrows. Looking at the gentle Nangong water, Yunqi's sharp eyes flashed a deep touch. The national master is so calculating. I don't know if the plague in Yunfu this time is. However, before Yunqi finished what he said, Nangangshui broke in with a mild smile. Master Yun, you really overestimate me. Although I know a little bit about astrology, I'm a mortal after all. I don't know everything. It's really hard for me to solve your problem. Just a little bit. As we all know, the national teacher of the Zhou dynasty had the title of the first prophet of God, and almost had the ability of divining the past and the future. Of course, he didn't want to say that now. Although Yunqi was depressed, he didn't ask much. Nangangshui looked at Yunqi and said, "Don't worry too much, Master Yun. Many things are destined to happen. Besides, it's not a good thing to return some things as soon as possible when they are due. Just treat your granddaughters with your heart when you are old." With these words, Nangang Water did not speak any more. It was gentle and calm, giving people a sense of immortality and immortality. Yunqi looks at him, and his sharp eyes flash a wise streamer. Is that good? At the beginning, in Los Angeles and Shuixingfeng, the plague was very noisy, and the news came to the imperial city, which was expected. And the news that the third lady of Yunfu, who was infected with the plague, was in bed soon spread in the imperial city. Although all the imperial doctors came to Yunfu, in the end, just like the old master of Murong's family, the pulse of his life was normal, that is, he was in a coma and his body was constantly swollen. Can't find out the source, also can't find out the cause of disease. When the doctors were at a loss, they heard that the Murong old lady in the Murong mansion in Los Angeles was the only medicine mother-in-law who could cure the plague. Naturally, Yunqi sends someone to Yunlenji, who is just on the northern border, and asks him to find a way to invite the Murong family's old lady, Granny Yao. However, the news of the plague made the whole imperial city nervous. In order to avoid the outside world to infect, Cloud House's East Chamber courtyard has been separated, has become the entire Cloud family's forbidden area. As soon as the plague happened in Yunfu, all the people's attention seemed to disperse from Yunwu. In the whole mansion, Cloud Dance is the most leisure. At this time, I believe that no one will dare to visit Yunfu. But today, someone comes to visit Yunfu. It's no one else who is looking for Yunwu. Looking at the dragon 3 dressed in black and black dosha, Yunwu had a feeling that he had not seen him for a long time. However, it has been more than 3 months since I was in the palace treasure house last time. Why? There is a plague in Yunfu now. Aren't you afraid? Looking at that very familiar, directly sat to her side of the dragon 3, Cloud Dance glanced at him, Light asked. The mood is relatively flat. I'm not afraid. I'm afraid of pestilence, but are you okay? I heard that you have been injured for 3 months. Are you better now? Long San looks at her anxiously through the black veil. It's okay. You can eat and sleep. If you're okay, go back. Cloud Dance and Light Path. Long San grinned and said in his hoarse voice, It's okay. Some time ago, I was forbidden by the queen. Today, I was released. I came to see you right away. I'm relieved to see you are okay. By the way, this time, I brought you this. Some time ago, I accidentally broke into the queen's garden and secretly picked it from the queen's garden. It's a 1,000-year-old qixien fruit. It can activate blood, enhance the power of elements, and is very good for the body. You eat it. See Long San took out a small jade box from the bosom. Open, inside are 2 red fruit fragrance, Qinren heart. It's a good thing. However, when Yunwu saw the small fruit in the box, she couldn't help picking it up. Isn't that similar to the fruits of various colors she picked from the big tree in a garden in the forest deep in Maple Ridge that day? It's just that this dragon 3 took it, which is more than twice as small as the one in her space. But Yunwu can feel that these 2 little fruits are the same kind of fruit as the dozens of fruits in her space. Red fairy fruit. Only a result in 1,000 years. She ate so many at a time that day, and really didn't feel any different feeling, so she just felt that the fruit tasted very good. Looking at the fruit on the table, Yunwu seems to realize the great value of this fruit. You can't do it for this fruit. Is that what you're forbidden to do? Yunwoo looks at the dragon 3 sitting beside her. This is the queen's treasure. There are many hidden things in her back garden. She can't find one or two of them. Long San looked at her and said with a smile. Cloud Dance frowned and looked at him. In the future, you don't have to do anything for me. However, a thought flashed in Yunwoo's heart. Long San looks at her and catches the flash of her eyes. He seems to have guessed the attention in her heart. My friend, don't rush into the garden of the queen. Since I stole these 2 fruits from the dog hole last time, the queen has been furious and sent several strong men to guard. Don't be silly, said Long San. Smell speech, Cloud Dance can't help but pick eyebrow to look at him. You seem to know what I'm thinking. Although she thought that in her heart, how could she express her emotion on her face? Long San scratched his head and said unnaturally, if you want to live in the palace, you need to learn how to observe words and colors, especially when I was sent to the Zhou dynasty as an exchange son from childhood. I'm still a complete waste. If I don't know how to observe words and colors, I'm afraid I don't know how to die, right? Friends. Dance in the clouds and smell the words. Although she had never experienced the court life, she could imagine that even a family was intrigued in the court. Perhaps, the complexity of the court is really beyond ordinary people's understanding. So, Cloud Dance is not saying anything. By the way, friend, did you plant the flower seeds you got in the palace treasure house last time? Dragon 3 seems to suddenly think of, looking at Cloud Dance asked. Flowers? Cloud Dance Aleng, he does not say, she has already forgotten. When she was in the northern forest, the red bean suddenly came out of the space. It seems that she and the Millennium Flame fruit gave her the space of the red gem. I haven't seen it all the time. What happened to red beans? Anyway, the space container Dragon 3 also know, so, Cloud Dance also heart read a move, consciousness into the space, intend to take out the red bean attached to the flame fruit in the space. However, in the space, in addition to a red bean with palm size and a withered fruit root, there is no trace of flame fruit. What the hell is that? The Cloud Dance conceals the bottom of the heart to be surprised, can that big red bean take out from the space? What kind of flower seed are you talking about? Cloud Dance takes in the hand, that still has a little weight big red bean, doubt to see to Long 3. Dragon 3 see that red bean, also seemed to be some surprised, blurted out good fat. Fat? Long San took the red bean in her hand, weighed it and gave it back to Yunwoo, and looked at her with a mysterious smile. It's almost mature, so you should plant it quickly. After a few days, don't you know what it is? How many days will it grow? Yes. Generally speaking, about 3 days is enough, but, my friend, you have to find a more remote place, otherwise, after this flower comes out, there may be some trouble. Trouble? Cloud Dance picks eyebrow, poor is some curiously saw the big red bean in the hand. Since that day, Yunwoo has planted the flower seed of the dragon. However, she also went back to her cabin in the back mountain, because the whole cloud house only uses the back mountain to keep quiet. Of course, this matter, no one can know. For 2 days, Yunwoo has been staring at the soil in a basin on her broken table. It's been 2 days since we planted it. We've watered it and fertilized it. Why doesn't it sprout? Isn't that the Dragon 3 cheated? Cloud Dance frowned and said to himself. Long San said that after planting, it can germinate in 1 day and blossom in 3 days. But after waiting for 2 days, there was no movement. Yunwoo couldn't help feeling that he was cheated. Of course, it will not germinate, because there is one most important thing missing. Evil spirit low voice, suddenly rang out in her ear. Scared. Cloud Dance almost subconsciously, hand a brush, silver needle cold light a flash, instinctively aroused the attack. However, her attack was instantly transformed by a figure. In the dark, when she reacted, she had sat firmly in the man's arms, and her hands were tightly clasped on his chest. Little thing, are you scared? Don't worry. I'm the only man in the world who doesn't fear death. This man, no one else, is the one with silver, a white suit, evil spirit of the dragon. It's you. What are you doing here? Familiar with the breath, let Cloud dance a little, calm down, but frown. Long Qingxie said with a smile, I'll come to you in a few days, but I haven't seen you these days. I miss you. I saw his arrogant tone blowing, Cloud dance, feel his hot lips on her white neck. When the numbness of goose bumps hit, Yunwu's body tensed instantly, and her cheek became hot. Soon, she became angry. Long Qingxie, move your mouth, otherwise. He was interrupted before the threat was finished. Eat me? Or did you sleep me? In fact, no matter which one you choose, I like it. Evil toward her earlobe side, blowing hot air, set off her goosebumps. Dirty thoughts. Earn, Cloud dance can only straight bite. Thank you for your praise, but you're the only one who can make me think this filthy way, so you have to be responsible and warm my bed later. You. Yunwu's chest heaved with anger. Every time he saw this man, he always had a way to make her angry and want to bite. But she knew in her heart that this man, though cheap, was not really shameless. It's in the second when the clouds are dancing. Dragon Qing evil spirit smile, fingers carelessly across her red face, magnetic voice again in her ears. Little thing, if you want to grow it, you have to use your blood to nourish it, it will recognize you as the Lord of Life, protect you and become your most sharp and fierce weapon. Smell speech, Cloud dance one lang. Nourish it with blood? Can't help but some doubt, frown, silent for a few seconds, Cloud dance just turned his head, glanced at the man behind him, let me go. Dragon Qing evil mouth outline, evil spirit is unusual, released tightly clasped her hand. Yunwu stood up from his arms without any hesitation. His hand moved and the sharp dagger flashed cold. The knife has cut her palm hard. Yunwu holds her fist, and the blood quickly falls from her hand into the basin of mud. Blood, soon sucked into the soil. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes later, the soil in the basin was still dry. Cloud dance face unchanged, change hands, knife up and down, blood flow to the bowl. These are all in the eyes of the men sitting on one side. Looking at the Cloud dance that lost too much blood, began some pale face, eyebrow quietly wrinkled for a while, deep black eyes flashed a faint light. 5 minutes later, when Yunwu waved the dagger again, her big white hand stopped her. Little thing, if you go on like this, you can't satisfy it even if it sucks blood. Okay, let Weifu help you. Without waiting for Yunwu to react, the dagger in her hand had cut his palm. He poured his own blood into the basin. You. His action made Yunwu a little surprised. Dong dong dong. Suddenly, the basin on the table vibrated. Click. The sound of something breaking. The next moment, Yunwu was surprised to see that a red mushroom head appeared in the mud in the broken bowl. At this time, Long Qingxie takes back his hand, grabs Yunwu's finger, and presses the mushroom head. Eh. Subconsciously, he snorted. Cloud dance's eyes brushed a touch of surprise, because, just now, her finger was bitten by something, sharp pain from the finger hit the nerves of the whole body. What's going on? He looked down and nearly dropped his chin in amazement. See, that mushroom head 4 cent but open, exposed that tusk-sharp tooth, fiercely bit up her finger, fiercely sucking her blood. What the hell is this? Cloud Dance's heart cannot help but tremble, but still forced to endure. Fortunately, before Yunwu felt that the blood would be sucked dry by it, it finally stopped. Immediately, he closed his tusks, restored a small mushroom head, and fell asleep. Sleep. Cloud Dance's eyes opened big, a trace of surprise color brush over her eyes. Because, she could clearly feel every beat of that little mushroom head. Even its little heart. What's going on? How could she feel that way? Isn't that weird? You little thing, I'll be by your side, and I won't faint in my husband's arms. The man's funny and angry voice came faintly from his ear. Faint? She's standing well. As soon as this consciousness passed through my mind, Yunwoo couldn't help laughing bitterly. Because consciousness was invaded by darkness in that moment. Is it excessive blood loss? Or is it because of the man's blood? Long Qingxie looks at the little woman in her arms and sighs helplessly. Put the cloud dance in his arms on the blanket bed, looking at her pale face, the fondness of his eyes quickly brushed a touch of heartache that I'm afraid he didn't even notice. Little thing, what do you think I should do with you? The long and durable hand brushed her cheek, and then sent the wound on her hand to her lips. Transport, blood from his palm knife into her mouth. At the same time, he took out a few things from the space, such as dragon blood, pure blood, living grass, 100-life flower. In fact, it's not so easy to revive the body from the dead. In addition to these 5 things, we also need to cooperate with the right time and place, as well as human harmony. Tonight, it is the night of the full moon, the most in time, and her blood was almost sucked dry. At this time, it is suitable for blood transfer. When the light went out, he brushed her clothes away. The snow-white curd, through the broken window sprinkled in the moonlight, appears more attractive, but at this time, there is no trace of ambiguous color, just let people feel that some of the holy spirit of solemn and serious. However, when Long Qingxie saw the red brand totem on her shoulder, she was stunned, and her eyes suddenly brushed a touch of astonishment. Phoenix seal. How can she have a phoenix totem? It turns out that before the cloud dance in the Phoenix Cave was burned by the fire of the source of the shoulder, at this time, it is covered by the Phoenix totem. It looks like it was printed by the Phoenix image. From the ancient records, those who are generally marked by Phoenix are all recognized by Phoenix. Did this little thing disappear for a month and go to the Phoenix nest in Maple Ridge? Should she be the one who made people and animals fight and stole Phoenix eggs? Looking at the mark on her shoulder, Long Qingxie couldn't help reaching out and stroking it. He could feel that the totem was just like a living creature. It was so hot that it spread its wings. At this time, Long Qingxie seemed to see something, and looked at her with tears and laughter. You little thing, don't you dare to contract with Phoenix's children before your body comes back to life? There's nothing I can do with you. He said to himself. When the dragon poured the other 4 things into her mouth, he bent over and covered her red lips. Purple air, slowly from the 2 people touched the lips, a little bit into her body. Gradually, in the moonlight, you can see that the white and tender body is emitting a black air quickly. It's a rotten smell, just like a corpse. It's corpse gas. In fact, her body had already died, but she was able to support the dead shell, just like ordinary people. What's the reason? Long Qingxie still doesn't understand. However, if really speaking, it is precisely because of her unique, it attracted him. Even let him willing to waste their own yuanli and holy blood, for her to try to revive her body. Let's start with a flower and a grass. Nourish with 3 kinds of blood. And then his strength as a supplement. After tonight, it should be okay early in the morning. In the morning sun through the broken window, light sprinkle on the bed sleeping Lilliputian body, warm feeling, let a person feel very comfortable. 10 seconds later, I finally woke up. Well. How comfortable. Cloud dance and open eyes wake up at the same time, subconsciously stretched a stretch. Hands and feet made a clucking sound, and the whole body was so comfortable that she wanted to hum. What's going on? Just one night. How do you feel like you have been reborn? The hands are smooth and delicate. For a few seconds, she didn't think about it, because she found that she was naked, and her clothes were taken off and put aside. Damn it, a red face grabbed the clothes, covered his growing snow-white body, and swept his eyes around the house. Fortunately, the man has disappeared. Otherwise, she can't help but chop the man who always takes advantage of her tofu. However, at this time, suddenly, I think of last night. Yunwoo grabbed his clothes and put them on. Then he went to the table and grabbed the basin on the table. It's not a dream. The little red mushroom head in the basin is more red than last night. It seems that it has grown up a lot and is more ferocious. This thing is the beautiful flower that Dragon 3 said? A mushroom head is not associated with beautiful in any way. Master, I want to bask in the sun. A tender voice suddenly sounded in the room. The cloud dance, who was meditating, almost shook his hand and dropped the basin. Did she hear that right? Master, I want to bask in the sun. Dissatisfaction and complaint. At this moment, Yunwoo was sure that she had heard it right. Well, the world is too mysterious. It seems that she still needs to strengthen her heart's endurance. Hot afternoon. Cloud Dance did not know where to get a big banana leaf, supporting on the top of his head, sweating on the roof. And beside her, there is a basin, in which the small mushroom head has grown into a big mushroom head, red as blood. I said you're a mushroom head. If you want to bask in the sun, why do you want me to accompany you? People are afraid. The master doesn't know. They are fragrant steamed buns. Before they grow up, there will be a lot of disgusting things to eat. The master should protect them. What and what? There are also fragrant steamed buns. I'm afraid they don't have enough to drink when we take them back to make soup. The psychology secretly despised for a while. I've been in the sun all morning. Have you had enough? I'm hot. The other hand in the face fan is really hot to death her. Fast, fast, wait a little longer, people are enjoying it. The sound of Zizi came from its red blood mushroom. Like, really enjoying the sunshine like a spring breeze. Cloud Dance in the heart a depressed, listen to, this elephant talk. The master is almost dry, but he is enjoying himself. Just as Yunwoo was about to open his mouth, suddenly, his eyes were sharp, his hands moved, and 2 silver needles had been shot out from between his fingers. Hiss. On the beam column, a snake python lurking stealthily, hissing and falling. Master, I'm a little short of growing up. Hold on. The mushroom head, which is making a sound, is a bit anxious in its humanized voice. Hold on. At first, Yunwoo didn't understand what it meant, but her face changed when she saw thousands of snakes, insects, mice and ants pouring out of the ground, and many birds circling in the air. Damn it. That's what Long San calls trouble. It's strange that he said that he wanted to go to a remote place. If it happened in Ningyuan, all the hidden things were found. Just, where is the fragrance of this mushroom head? All of a sudden, there are so many birds and reptiles. I really think she has 3 heads and 6 arms. Although thinking about this, Yunwoo grabbed the basin in her arms for the first time, and the silver needle in her hand had already been brushed out of the air. Hiss. Haw. Snakes, insects, mice and ants have climbed up the roof and come straight at her. There are too many birds in the sky. Yunwoo put aside the mushroom head of the basin in her arms, turned her hand, closed the fire element, flashed the fire dragon, and immediately went to the flocks of birds in the air. Because he didn't want to make too much noise, Yunwoo specially controlled the fire dragon and just hovered over his head. And she, free a hand, take out the space to make all kinds of poison powder, quickly toward all around. In the hot sun, from a distance, she seems to be on the roof, dancing a wonderful dance, very charming. What's more attractive is that there is a fire dragon around her head. Just at this scene, he was visited, and the Prince Zhou Tianyu, who was standing on the top of the false mountain in Yunfu Mansion, was impressed by his income, and a little interest sprang up immediately. Hey, you, come on up here. He ordered a guard of the general's house under the rockery. In front of the bodyguard, Zhou Tianyu quickly pointed to the direction of the back mountain, that woman, which lady of the general's mansion. The guard pad looked up, but saw nothing. Your Highness, I didn't see any young lady. People are there. Zhou Tianyu looked again and the man who had just danced was gone. How can it be? In the twinkling of an eye, people have disappeared. I ask you, who lives in the back mountain? Zhou Tianyu's words made the bodyguard stunned. Report back to your highness. Before that, Miss Nine lived there. However, Miss Nine moved to Ningyuan a few months ago, so no one lived in House Han. But before he finished, Zhou Tianyu had jumped from the high rockery. Go to the back mountain. The bodyguards in the residence were shocked by this. However, no one dares to disobey him, so he quickly follows him. Zhou Tianyu led his bodyguard and several bodyguards to the back mountain. Standing on the edge of the cliff, the cloud dances, watching the swarming snakes, insects, rats and ants approaching, and the mushroom head in the arms is still sizzling. Yunwu only felt that his head was too big. Who told her, what the hell is that mushroom head? It has attracted so many birds and reptiles who want to eat it. It can't be killed. It can't be destroyed. Damn, if we go on like this, do we really want to force her to make a big noise? However, at this time. Hiss, hiss. Suddenly, a little red snake came quickly. I saw that in the place where the red snake passed, the snakes, insects, mice and ants on the ground gave way to a void, and even the birds in the air did not dare to approach. Cloud Dance can't help but pick eyebrow of, tightly stare at that small snake that swim toward her. Although we don't know what kind it is definitely highly toxic. Little thing, that's the little pet I gave you. With it, those birds and reptiles can't get close to you. If I have something else to do, I won't show up first. I'll come back to you at night. The man's voice comes with the wind. Cloud Dance frowns, sharp eyes straight sweep 4 directions, but no trace of Dragon Qing evil. But I don't know, the black figure of the black dosha is under the cliff behind her. The little red snake, coiled at the foot of Cloud Dancing, raised its head and spat out its tongue, and its cool eyes were staring at her. As if, please her, please touch. Yunwu is ashamed of this strange feeling. However, hesitated for a while, or slightly squat down, toward it out of the palm. Hiss. Ice-cold small body, quickly climbed up her palm, cell cute like wink to her, trident tongue in her mother finger lick ah lick. It seemed to show her that it was lovely and harmless. Its humanized expression and action make the cloud dance and the corners of the mouth slightly raise. I almost didn't feel scared on the spot. How can there be so many snake, rat and poisonous insects in this Hall General's mansion? Be careful. Cheers together. One of the guards had drawn his sword and wielded a yellow sword chi of cold light association. Just as he wanted to climb to Zhou Tianyu's poisonous snake, he was chopped to pieces. And a few bodyguards of Cloud Mansion, who follow behind, are also shocked. When did House Han become a nest of snakes and mice? Does this vision mean that something big is going to happen? I have to report this matter to the old master quickly. Your Highness, it's dangerous here. Let's leave first. Why are you still in a daze? Come and escort me. Suddenly, in the protection of the guard, Zhou Tianyu's face was ugly, and he went back in a hurry. At this point, inside the hut. On the table without feet, there was the mushroom head of the basin, and the little red snake was surrounded by the mushroom head happily. It's like, they're born partners. Yunwu sat on the broken stool, staring at the mushroom head which was about to bloom. Long San said that it will produce beautiful flowers. And she was really interested in seeing how beautiful this beautiful flower could be. Moreover, this is the red bean seed stored on the top floor of the palace treasure house. If such a treasure is placed on the top floor, it should be extraordinary. A moment passed. Finally, the head of the mushroom gradually blooms. A red bud emerges from the top of the head of the mushroom. 2 green branches and leaves grow on both sides of the head, just like 2 arms. Ding! The bud slowly blooms and unfolds. Cloud dance after seeing what flower that is clearly, the corner of the mouth instantly draws disorderly. Because, after the petals bloom, what is exposed is the sharp fangs full of mouth. The cold light is shining, which makes people panic. It's not beautiful. It's just an ugly cannibal flower. Of course, she didn't know her psychology. Otherwise, her tusks would be the first to bite her. Because, after the little cannibal jumped out of the basin, the first sentence asked her was, "Master, is Luan Jiame?" Well, in terms of aesthetics, cloud dance can't really feel where it looks beautiful. When I saw its creepy tusks, I could only pull at the corners of his mouth and reply with a hard face, "Beautiful, very beautiful. It's so beautiful that I can't help crying." But did not think, this little cannibal a listen, happy straight dance with its 2 green branches, gaga laugh, and then, straight at her face, fierce kiss, make her face is its thick smelly saliva. After that, Yunwoo saw a scene, which almost shocked her. Because, the little cannibal yelled hungry, and went straight to those snakes, insects, rats and ants outside the house, very fast, devouring. As you eat, the little cannibals grow. When all the snakes, insects, rats and ants have disappeared outside, and the birds in the air have disappeared, the little cannibal flower has become the big cannibal flower, which is still the chubby one. Really? Very, very fat one. Yunfu Hall. Zhou Tianyu's face was ugly. As soon as he sat down in the living room, he turned his head and looked at the dragon 3 in black. There was some anger in the words, "Where did you go just now?" "Back to the prince, I went to Ningyuan. I wanted to find Miss Yunjiu, but she was off at noon, so I didn't disturb her." Long San said in his hoarse voice. When Zhou Tianyu heard the speech, his eyes flashed a touch of disgust. "There are so many young ladies in the Cloud family, but you just chose that waste. It's really waste with waste." What he said was not concealed, so that the maid and bodyguard could hear it clearly. Dragon 3 is silent, the expression under the black gauze, make people not see through. At this time, Yunqi came in from the side hall. "Your Highness, what's the matter with you? Why are you so angry?" Zhou Tianyu's face was ugly. Seeing the visitor, he calmed down a little. However, his attitude was still dignified and arrogant. "Master Yun, what's the matter with you, General Yun? Don't people manage the snakes, insects, rats and ants all over the mountain? No wonder there will be plague in your cloud house." When Yunqi heard this, he raised a smile on his face. "I've heard from the bodyguard about this. It's not surprising that there are some snakes, insects, rats and ants in the forest of Warcraft near the cliff in the back mountain. But I don't know why your highness went to House Han." Zhou Tianyu frowned and was silent for a few seconds before he said, "Master Yun, I want to ask you, is there another woman in the back mountain of Yunfu?" As soon as he asked this, Yun Qi was stunned. "No. At the beginning, the 9 girls of my family lived in House Han. Later, they all moved back. In the past few months, House Han has been deserted and no one lived in it." His Highness asked, "Is it?" Zhou Tianyu brushed his hand, and his noble tone was quite cool. "Nothing, just asking, that is Miss 3 better? Yunling Shui, after all, is Yunlenji's legitimate daughter, and Yunlenji will soon return to the court. As the prince, it's reasonable for him to come here to express his sympathy. Thank you for your concern. The situation of the 3 girls is stable for the time being. It doesn't matter." "Good. There was nothing wrong." The prince went back to the palace first. Zhou Tianyu said, and he got up from the theme. One side of the Dragon 3 also followed up. "You are not looking for Miss Yunjiao. If you want to stay, stay." Zhou Tianyu was about to leave when he suddenly turned his head, looked at the Dragon 3 and opened his mouth. When Long San heard the speech, his hoarse voice was a little happy. "Then I'll go back later and say hello to the prince." Zhou Tianyu didn't pay any attention and left with his hands behind him. "To the prince, your highness." After Zhou Tianyu left, Yunqi asked people to entertain Halong Shizhi, and he immediately went back to the mountain. But he didn't bring anyone with him. He came by himself. Because, after he heard the report from the bodyguard, he went to Ningyuan first, and Yunwu was not in the room at all. So, he also guessed that the 9 girls in his family would be the one who made trouble in House Han. When Yunqi came to the back mountain, there were no snakes, insects, rats and ants. No one lived in the hut for several months. There were weeds all around the hut. However, when she saw the cloud dancing in the hut, Yunqi was sure of what she thought. Immediately walked quickly in the past. Who is it? Dare to disturb my master's Qingxiu, eat you. As soon as Yunqi stepped into the house, a tender voice began to drink. Shua, the cold light of a red shadow flashed. Yunqi's body flashed, and the warrior's strong breath soared. He just wanted to fight. Hongling, shut up! With a shout from Yunwu, the book pours on Yunqi and opens up the mouth full of ferocious fangs. Big safflower, stiff in midair. Master, can't you eat it? Just cheered, became weak and pitiful. I saw that its thick saliva, from its sharp fangs, drop by drop down, a very greedy look. At this time, Yunqi could see clearly what it was. A big red flower is as beautiful as red. Its ferocious fangs are circling in the petals. It's spitting and smelling. 2 green branches and leaves in the shape of a flame, one left and one right, are like the hands and arms of a man. The fat purple roots are separated and tied to the ground, just like feet. On the whole, this is a big fat red flower with feet and sharp fangs. It makes people feel scared and creepy. Even if he lived a long time, he was shocked to see the fat and huge thing. However, soon, it seems to think of something. I flash a surprised color. This is not the sacred thing to protect the royal family, red flame cannibal flower. How can you be here? In Yunqi's voice, there was the astonishment. Guarding the sacred things of the royal family? Cloud dance, smell speech, eyebrow pick. Isn't this a cannibal? In this strange world, has it become a sacred thing to protect the royal family? I didn't expect that this little thing had its origin. Cloud dance also muttered. Cloud Chi hears the sound, the double eyes sharp looking at her. 9 wenches, tell the truth, last time the Imperial Palace treasure house is stolen, is that you do? Seeing this cannibal flower, Yunqi is stupid if he can't guess anything. Cloud dance calmly a smile. In the room that old stool sat down. Grandfather, you see this, how do you want me to answer you? Is that really the girl? No wonder, at the beginning, she would take the map of the Imperial Palace from him. This wench is really too adventurous. That treasure house is not so easy to steal. It is said that at the beginning of the protection of the treasure house, but a warrior. However, it's been a long time. It seems too late to worry. Next time, don't be so reckless. I don't think that one day white hair people will give black hair people away. Yunqi is very serious. Yunwu looks at him. From Yunqi's eyes, he can really see the worried color. The corner of the mouth could not help but slightly raised, and said with a smile, well. Grandfather doesn't have to worry. For the time being, I'm not interested in going again. In fact, what she is more interested in now is the Queen's garden. Of course, Yunqi doesn't know this idea. It's not like you don't have any money at home. Just go to the warehouse and get it. Don't do such dangerous things in the future. Yunqi asked again. Cloud dance nods. Hongling, the cannibal flower in the room, looks at Yunqi and swallows again and again. Master, can you eat him? Tender voice, some weak pathetic asked. Not long ago, after eating all the snakes, insects, mice and ants on the ground, I still want to eat people. Its food intake is not a little bit small. Cloud Dance looked at the chubby red ling, very speechless. Can't, if you are hungry, go to the forest under the cliff to find food. Hongling dissatisfied with grinding fangs, but also obedient, then I'll go to the master to find something to eat. The voice falls, just see it, reluctantly, looked at Cloud Chi, and swallowed saliva. When the red flower closed, it suddenly became a budding bud, its feet swaying, and soon its chubby body squeezed out of the broken door and headed for the cliff. Looking at the foot like a big chubby flower, the scene sounds strange. Girl, you can't let the royal family find this cannibal flower. As soon as Hongling left, Yunqi said to Cloud Dance. Cannibal flower is a sacred thing to protect the royal family. Although, since the summoner disappeared for hundreds of years, the royal family has been unable to plant the seeds of cannibal. However, if there is such a big and dazzling cannibal flower around Yunwu, I'm afraid the theft of the palace treasure house last time can't be concealed. He didn't know what Yunwu thought, but he couldn't let anything happen to her. Cloud Dance smell speech, the corner of the mouth outlines, don't worry, I know how to do, but, grandfather, you find here, won't just to say these to me? Yunqi looked at Yunwu and thought, girl, did you make the plague at home? Before, Yunqi was a little worried when she heard that there was a plague at home. But when she thought about it, it was not hard to guess that some of them were insidious. The girl left for 3 months, just came back a few days ago, and the day before the plague, Yunling Shui went to Ningyuan. A guess will also know 7788. In fact, Yunqi doesn't understand that those girls in the family are dissatisfied with Zhuanshu. They can even say that they want to bully Yunwu, who is, sick seedling, in other people's eyes. Yun Lingshui came to Ningyuan, and something must have happened, but, how to say, it's all his granddaughter, the palm and the back of his hand are all meat. What? Is it heartache? Cloud Dance picks eyebrows and looks at Xiang Yunqi with a smile. Yunqi said with a helpless smile, you are all my granddaughters. Any elder would like to see his granddaughter have an accident. Cloud Dance heard the words and raised the corner of his mouth. Don't worry, Grandpa, your face has increased a lot. Even if you don't look at the monk's face, you can also look at the Buddha's face. She won't have anything to do for the time being. I didn't tell you before. I just want Grandpa to act more realistically and help stir up the muddy water. Muddle the water. Before, she also told him that she wanted to stir up the muddy water in the house. It's just, what is it that she's trying to mess with? Yunqi pondered for a moment. Then he looked up at Yunwu and asked seriously, girl, sometimes, in the face of a powerful enemy, you need to learn to be patient before you become strong. Last time the queen came, Yunqi didn't understand what was going on, but he guessed something. Smell speech, Cloud Dance but seemed to smile not to smile up, I know. I have a bottom in my heart, I wish you could understand. By the way, have you been to Los Angeles before? The girl who burned the murong branch is you. Yunqi suddenly thought of something and asked in a low voice. Yunwu kept silent on this issue. Seeing this, Yunqi understood without saying it, and said in a low voice with a slight frown, girl, you should remember that purple eyes are forbidden by the queen. After that, Yunqi got up and said, okay, don't stay here too long. Long Shitzi is waiting for you to wake up in Ningyuan. Later, I'll tell you about the enrollment of Shinwu College. Without waiting for Yunwu to say anything, Yunqi is ready to leave. Grandfather, can I ask you a question? However, at this time, Yunwu suddenly spoke. Yunqi turns his head and looks at Yunwu, what's the matter? My mother, is it also purple pupil? Cloud Dance seems to ask this question casually. However, Yunqi was stunned. Then, his brow wrinkled slightly, and he stopped for a few seconds before he said, that year, I went out at the border, and I didn't see your mother with my own eyes. However, I heard that when she was angry, her eyes did turn purple with her mood. When angry, will it turn purple? Before, I heard Bai Lao say that Zitong is a noble and unique existence in the witch family. So her mother is really a witch? Is the queen also? This side is not calm, however, at this time on the other side, the same as some chicken fly dog jump. Cave deep in the forest. A middle-aged man, smoking all over, dragging a round little thing, came in angrily. Master! What's the matter? It's not to say that you can't disturb my master's practice at this time. Sitting on the rock in the cave, the old man with white hair opened his wise eyes and frowned at the more and more impetuous apprentice. This has happened many times and frequently. The middle-aged man seems to have been unbearable, a hand to the small things to the ground, the small things cry a pain, rolling several rolls on the ground, and then stop. Raised his head, opened his big eyes, looked at the old man sitting on the rock, rubbed his tummy with his little paw. Master, pain. The old man raised his eyes and looked at the middle-aged man. No trace. Didn't he tell you that you shouldn't abuse it during this period of time? What are you doing? The middle-aged man had no trace. Smelling the words, he looked at the poor stink of the clothes on the ground. He was so angry that he almost bit his teeth. Master, I didn't mean to disturb your cleaning and repair, nor to abuse it. Instead, the immature glazed fruit tree we planted outside, even with its roots and skins, was eaten up by this ghost. It took decades for the fruit tree to grow successfully, and it took 100 years to produce the fruit. It's not mature yet. I saw it this morning. Not to mention the green fruit, even the bark and roots have disappeared. Only such a big round belly, fat as a ball like stink, burping lying on the ground. You don't have to guess. You know it's eaten. 100 years of painstaking efforts are flowing eastward. It's strange if you don't get angry. What's more, I don't know how many times in the past half a month it has nibbled the precious elixir. The most hateful thing is that it doesn't take the most precious and rare thing, and it only takes the most precious and rare thing. He was so angry that he almost couldn't help slapping it to death many times. However, his master, since he brought it back, just set up a border within 100 meters outside, and did not have the freedom to detain it. At first, this little thing will be afraid of them and will be restrained. However, slowly, it was like a mountain king. Except for the rock area under the old man's buttocks, any inch of land within the boundary was abused by it. What's more, the most unbearable thing is that this little thing only picked fruit to eat at first, but later it seems to have a bigger and bigger appetite, and it's not picky anymore. It's almost a good thing. Even the belt core, even the tree root, it can eat directly. In particular, no matter how he hides good things, his nose can smell them. If you don't give it to eat, it will steal it. Once or twice it can almost be said that it has been tried repeatedly. Every time I was so angry that I almost wanted to stamp it. The old man frowned at the speech. Glass fruit tree. The stink of fat circle on the ground, aware that the atmosphere is not right, quickly got up from the ground, put its little fat legs straight at the old man's side. He stretched out his claw and pulled the leg of the old man's trousers. His voice was pitiful. Master, he's bad. He won't give me food. I'm hungry. Half a month later, at the beginning, the little thing who can only speak 2 words has become more and more fluent during this period. It's enough to make an uncle smoke. I won't give you food. You stinky thing, I just gave you 10 big fruits last night. Do you know that 1 big fruit, 1 for a human, is enough for 10 days without eating? I gave you 10 at a time. How dare you say I won't give you anything to eat? Believe it or not, I'll beat you to death. Since Wu Trace got along with this stink, the cultivation demeanor of hundreds of years has all disappeared in this half-month. Not to mention the demeanor, it can almost be said that even the most basic patience was lost this morning. At that time, it completely disappeared. Master, I've killed people. Smelly that little fat claw drag, that round body, immediately climbed up the rock, rushed into the old man's arms. Strange to say, it was this strange old man who arrested him, but since this period of time, the treatment of little stink is really very good. This old man is also very partial to it. Make this stink some overjoyed. Master, look at it. It's really going too far. If it goes on like this, we don't have to find the owner of the contract. We need to eat up our 7 immortals. We have to eat up our family. Seeing the stink and rushing into the old man's arms, a pair of stink of seeking protection, no trace was fuming in his heart. The old man's eyes of wisdom and vicissitudes, looking down at the stink lying in his arms, deep in his eyes is the deep meditation. As if aware of his sight, little Stinky grinned and showed his fangs. I'm hungry. Really? A low and dignified voice came from the old man's mouth. Small Stink on his line of sight, subconsciously shrunk for a while, some fear in the bottom of my heart. However, he still pouted and waved his fat claws. Really, you see, I'm growing. I'm hungry. In fact, it's almost up to the throat now. In just half a month, he ate himself to support a big fat ball, which shows how hard he ate. But who called two old men, every day shut it, do not let it go out looking for hemp, then it eat up their things, angry them. The old man stares at its grievance, and his eyes are deep and wise. Little Stink was staring at his hairy face. Even if he is hungry, take him to Dashi Orchard and let him have enough. The old man suddenly raised his eyes to see the traceless, deep mouth. Originally also want to master the master of no trace, listen, silly eyes. Big fruit, in their eyes, although not very precious, but in the eyes of the world, but also need to spend a lot of money on precious things. If you take this smelly thing with you, according to its never-ending mouth, I don't know how much appetite it has, and it won't eat it up. Master! Don't you listen to me as a teacher? The old man's face sank slightly. No Trace immediately lowered his head and said respectfully, No Trace dare not. Then go. The old man said and handed over the big ball, lying in his arms. No Trace, even if all sorts of unwilling, but still took it, some angry force grabbed it. Smelly in his grip its strength, eat pain grin, revealing its sharp fangs, you pinch me, I want to tell the master. You dare. Traceless glares and murmurs. Teacher well. As soon as Stink opened his mouth full of tusks was blocked by a fruit. Turn around, No Trace body shape in a flash, holding it, the figure immediately disappeared in the hole. The old man left in the cave, deep in vicissitudes, the direction outside the cave. Even if you don't come to find your contract beast, let it go back to you. I hope that if you dare to steal the 7 immortals of this throne, you will be able to repay the loss of this throne. Low voice, in the cave, like the wind blowing gently sounded. Yunwu didn't know that the stink that she had hatched unintentionally at the beginning came from the hand of Phoenix to the hand of the mysterious old man. For no reason, it caused an enigmatic enemy. Naturally, I don't know. Apart from the scene in the forest, there are many things happening in Murong Mansion of Los Angeles. Los Angeles. Recently, Murong Mansion has paid frequent visits to its guests. And all of us are looking for the same person. It's the girl who has a pair of purple pupils, that is, Yunwu, who used the name of 5 Phoenixes at the beginning. At this time, Murong Mansion gate. The bodyguard quickly stopped the woman in red, who was as beautiful as fire. Girl, why are you again? I have said that there are really no women with purple eyes in our house. Please go back. From the border, she began to search for information, and finally found some clues. However, she didn't get a satisfactory reply for several days. The woman was already impatient. Looking at the guard who stopped her, a flame flashed through the woman's beautiful eyes, and a high temperature in the air could be felt all the way. Did not give anyone a chance to react, hand a pat, directly blocked in front of her bodyguard to shoot away. Today, if you don't give me the people, I'll burn all your houses. He has a big voice, which is very hot. This woman, no one else, is the original Phoenix in Maple Ridge. Because his child was caught by the mysterious old man, he had to find out the woman anyway. First, he wanted to exchange his child back, and second, he wanted the human to release the contract on his child. How can it be a contract animal for a human being? That's a shame. The loud fury soon led to the people in the room. Today, However, there are quite a lot of people, not only Zhou Feiyu but also Yun Lingyi. This girl, what's the matter? You might as well settle it in a good voice. Why do you want to burn people's houses when you open your mouth? In fact, just a few people, that is, heard the sound of burning the house, just came out. I believe everyone in Los Angeles knows that the 5 phoenixes burned the Murong branch as soon as they appeared. This kind of bold appearance is really rare. But obviously it's not the one in front of us. Hearing the sound, Feng Huang glanced at the person who came out. When she saw Yun Lingyi, her eyes narrowed and frowned. Is it you? When Yun Lingyi saw Feng Huang, her rigorous face also frowned. It's you. Why are you here? Feng Huang's eyes are quite irritable. It's not because you human beings are so mean that you are here today. Let someone give me the black face and purple pupil woman of that day immediately. A woman with black face and purple eyes? Cloud cold smell speech, eyes tiny narrow up. Today, Yun Lingyi doesn't associate Wu Feng with the black-faced girl on the battlefield that day. He will come because not long ago, his deputy general was abandoned by a black-faced girl, and he heard that the dry daughter of the Lord Murong in Los Angeles knows how to cure broken bones. At the same time, the 7th Prince Zhou Feiyu also came, and he came to visit with him. After he came here, he learned from Murong Cloud that his daughter had gone to practice in the world more than a month ago, and even the Lord of Murong had disappeared. Just at this time, the door on the news, that is, Feng Huang vowed. Yun Lingyi's eyes are quite serious. He looks at Feng Huang and says coldly, there's no one you're looking for here. Go back to where you should go. If it wasn't for your human meanness, do you think I would like to come to your human places? I tell you, if you don't hand over the woman, then we won't think about a peaceful day. The fire in Feng Huang's tone was very strong, and the high temperature in the air was rising. It seems that the temperature in the air is constantly changing with her mood. Phoenix, the child has returned you, but you are still making trouble. Is this a declaration of war on us? Yun Lingyi's face suddenly cooled. Feng Huang squinted dangerously, and her eyes were full of fire. You human beings have always been treacherous and despicable. To put it bluntly, you gave the child back to me, but you human beings dare to contract my child. How can our descendants of the noble blood of the Phoenix family become your contract animals? I tell you, if you know your face, give me the person immediately. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude to you contract. Yun Lingyi, who had a cold face, was stunned for a moment. On the other hand, Zhou Feiyu and Murong Yun all have one sign. Is the woman in front of us the phoenix, the beast that caused the war between man and beast on the border battlefield? However, the contract in her mouth. Is it that the human summoner has contracted his child? How is that possible? Summoners and human beings have disappeared for hundreds of years. For hundreds of years, they have never heard of the appearance of summoners. You mean there's a human contract for your child? Yun Lingyi looks at Feng Huang in a low voice. Thinking of that, Feng Huang's eyes became angry. If it's not like that, you think you're full and come here to play, don't you? Who's the one who contracted you? Yun Lingyi is also excited at the bottom of his heart. You know, there have been no summoners for hundreds of years. Now, summoners have appeared in the Zhou dynasty. What does that mean? If the Zhou dynasty is drawn together, won't it be more prosperous and consolidated? However, the problem of Yun Lingyi is obviously unnecessary. It is not unnecessary to ask who it is. Compared with Yun Lingyi's mood, Zhou Feiyu has never opened his mouth. After hearing this, however, some of his eyes are bright, and the deep streamer flashes through his eyes. Summoner? Is that little woman a summoner? He knew better than anyone what that meant. To her, he is more powerful. Murong Yun, however, is both happy and worried in his heart. It's a blessing for Murong family to have a dry daughter as a summoner. However, looking at the current situation, there are many people who want to trouble her. That girl, though talented, can make enemies everywhere, is always too dangerous, especially before she is strong, a careless, may be doomed. Murong-yun frowned and stepped forward. This girl, there is really no one you want in our house. If you don't believe me, you may as well search the house. I hope that after the girl searches, she can leave and don't disturb our life. In fact, Feng Huang had already sneaked into Murong's house for a long time, but she didn't find anything. This time, she came to the important person. Looking for more than half a month, Black Face did not find, but heard, this Murong house has a purple-eyed pupil woman. In this world, there are very few people with purple eyes. Feng Huang also believes that it must be the black-faced girl. I don't care. People must have let you hide. If you don't hand them over, this seat will make your whole city uneasy in the future. In the past few days, Feng Huang's patience has been worn away. With a flick of the hand, the flames suddenly rose outside, and the scorching heat suddenly spread all around. Looking at the Feng Huang's unreasonable making trouble, Murong Yun's eyebrows locked up. However, before he spoke, Zhou Feiyu spoke respectfully and coldly. My king is the 7 princes of the Zhou dynasty, the royal family of the human world. Phoenix Beast, you should be very clear that the human world has the rules of the human world, and you also have the rules of the divine beast. As the saying goes, well, water does not violate the river. If you really want to disturb our human world, our blood has the ability of communication, so that the divine beast level can know your behavior in the human world, and you can bear the consequences of the time. Are you threatening me? The Phoenix girl's eyes sank with extreme cold. The temperature in the air soars in an instant, which makes people sweat. The corner of Zhou Feiyu's mouth rose, and his cold and handsome face was the incomparable dignity. Here, it's the human world. In a word, it's hard to say, but it also shows his meaning directly. The human world is dominated by human beings. Even if you are a god beast, you have to give up 3 points. The hot temper of Feng Huangnu almost burst out with anger. But as Zhou Feiyu just said, the human world and the world of Warcraft have their own rules. No one can intrude on all walks of life without any reason. Otherwise, the consequences are very serious. Moreover, as a god beast, you should be very clear that the human summoner is endowed with the ability of contract Warcraft. If it wants to take the reason that the summoner has contracted her child, it is the one who is wrong. You. Feng Huang was extremely angry, staring at Zhou Feiyu and others, clenching her fist and making a clatter. Don't feel angry. What I said is reasonable. Besides, don't intrude into people's houses, disturb people's lives and destroy people's things. Otherwise, I will do justice. In the eyes of the Phoenix, these human beings in front of them are simply vulnerable. With one paw, they can be sent directly to the bridge. However, if she does that, I'm afraid the consequences will be good, very good. I've written down today's events. I'll wait for you. You'd better not let me seize the opportunity, or you'll have to pay a heavy price. Angry voice down, Feng Huang knew a brush hand, turn around, a red light suddenly shot into the air, in the semi-cavitation into the prototype. Ha! Shriek, from the empty open, like that endless anger. In a moment, the red figure disappeared in mid-air. It is said that although Phoenix is a noble animal, it is the smallest and the most vengeful of all the animals. After returning to Ningyuan and sending Nalangsan, Yunwu returns to House Han Cottage. The setting sun has already begun to set in the west. It's going to be dark, but the fat Hongling hasn't come back yet. Yunwu went down from the cliff and planned to look for it in the forest. By the way, he went to the original forest valley to have a look. It was the first time I met the dragon. Similarly, there are many herbs she needs. During the day, the powder she made is almost scattered. This time, I'll go and get some. Goo goo. At night, the dense and simple forest, from time to time sounded like an eagle-like partridge cooing sound. Occasionally, there are some Warcraft activities. However, the cloud dance at this time is no longer the mess of the first time. Night, let all around into the dark, but in the eyes of cloud dance, just like the day, does not affect her vision. This night, she also very leisurely walk away. However, one thing is strange. Since Yunwoo woke up this morning, she felt that her body was much more sensitive than before. Feeling, the body seems to be a bit of reborn comfort. Originally thought, is dragon Qing evil in her faint, let her body resurrected. But she found that her body was still dead, and the branch in her abdomen not only took root in her body more and more, but also spread around her elixir field. What's going on? Yunwoo has checked from the dragon scroll, but there is still no record of the strange willow branch. I really don't understand. In the valley, the sparkling lake. At this time, there is a slight sound of water in the lake. A figure is soaking in the lake. In the moonlight, light scattered on the figure, a head of silver enchanting draped in the back, vaguely visible, the silver under the wheat color sexy back, extremely eye-catching. Yunwoo is hiding in a big tree in the dark. When he sees the figure of the man in the lake, he doesn't know whether to go or stay. It's the evil man of Long Qingxia again. Why is he here so late? Little things, come here. If you want to see them, come out. Don't sneak. A man's voice is filled with a smile. In the twinkling of an eye, I saw the man in the lake, turned around and showed his beautiful figure in front of the cloud dance. The cloud dances the eye ground to brush once put on the streamer, but also come out naturally from the dark. Why are you here? Cloud Dance asked while walking toward the direction of the lake. That spacious grass herbs, eyes intentionally or unintentionally avoid his smooth upper body. With a smile, the dragon got up from the lake and said, "This is my exclusive place. I'm not surprised to be here. You, a little thing, come to watch me take a bath most of the night. Why? Want to be my husband? Go to the lake. Take a side of the white dress." Dragon Qing evil toward the cloud dance walked in the past. Yunwoo glanced at him from the corner of his eye. At this time, he seemed to notice that there were many reddish scars on his body. Although the wound had healed, the invisible smell of blood was still vaguely left. Are you hurt? If you look at the scars on his body, you don't have to ask. Although he has the ability to heal, the wounds heal countless times faster than ordinary people. Judging from the red scars on his body now, it should be the wounds he suffered not long ago. A little injury is not in the way. You haven't said what you want to do when you come here in the middle of the night. By the time he said this, he had come up behind her. Cloud Dance just turned around and looked at the man who just put his clothes on his body. What can I do if I come here? Naturally, I come here to collect some medicine and reserve it. Dragon Qing evil smell speech, the corner of the mouth outlines up. Do you know, the herbal medicine here is all mine? His? This man is quite cheeky. She has been here several times before for dispensing medicine. Although there are many herbs here, it is obvious that they are not artificially planted. You. But anyway, you are also mine. If you want to use it, you can pick it yourself. After finishing, you can come to me in the cave. As soon as Cloud Dance opened its mouth, it was interrupted by the voice of evil magic magnetism. By the way, if you want to revive your body, don't run away like last time. I'll wait for you in the cave. After that, Long Qingxia smiles and looks at the clouds. Then he turns around and leaves her a figure of evil temptation, and walks slowly towards the cave on the other side of the lake. Inexplicably, the man just that look, there is a sense of evil, about to do bad things. Even Cloud Dance can't help shivering. The man, what does he want? However, after collecting the medicinal materials, Yunwoo went to the hidden cave. No matter what the man wants to play, he even says that he can revive her body. There should be no fake. Just stepped into that dark cave. Brush. The feeling of something coming, Cloud danced almost subconsciously, the silver needle in the hand flashed out, the body moved, the action was extremely rapid counterattack away. You little thing, it's me. Your reaction is to murder your husband. The sound of dragon's evil spirit is heard. Immediately, Yunwoo felt that he was swept into his arms by a figure behind him. Close to the clear skin, warm touch, let Cloud frown a wrinkle, you have no clothes. Long Qingxie said with a smile, for a while, neither of them need to wear. In the dark, Yunwoo felt that his big hand stretching to her waist was untying her belt and trying to take off her clothes. Cloud Dance stretched out her hand and grasped the man's big hand at the waist. A trace of heat hit her cheek. What are you doing? What else can I do if you hold my hand? But don't move around. Naked men are more impulsive than usual. The voice of evil spirit rang out gently from her ear. Yunwoo's body was slightly stiff, and then his face was flushed and embarrassed. Long Qingxie, stop making trouble and let me go. Cloud Dance stretched out her hand to pull away the big hand holding her waist, but the man didn't move at all. Instead, she tightened her strength. Let go of you, how can I help you? Don't you want to revive the body? Said the dragon. At the same time, his slender fingers had gone up to her skirt. Yunwoo took a deep breath and reached for his hand. Is that what you call the resurrection method? If I say yes. Dragon Qingxie hugs her tightly, and the hot breath gently brushes her ear, which is extremely provocative. Smell the Cloud Dance of speech, but eyebrow wrinkly. She is a modern person, and her mind is not old-fashioned. However, if she has a relationship with him just to revive her body, she always feels uncomfortable. However, if she doesn't come back to life again, it's not impossible to let Bai Lao wake up again from the seal, not to mention how she improves her cultivation. Let alone, Bai Lao said that it was against the natural law of the world that she could live when her body died. If she did not revive her body, the consequences would be unimaginable. What are you thinking? No? Long Qingxie asked in her ear. Yunwoo recovered from his meditation, frowned and said coldly, let go, I'll do it myself. In the dark, Dragon Qingxie's deep eyes flashed, and then let her go. Yunwoo didn't look back, turned his back to him, stretched out his hand and began to untie his clothes. 1, 2 When all the clothes were taken off, Yunwoo vaguely heard that some man's breathing behind him was a little heavy, following the hot line of sight. She is not an ignorant girl. She thought she should be calm, but somehow, she felt a little nervous and her heart beat faster and faster. Unknowingly, his hands clenched like tension. Now! Come here, go into the pool. The husky voice of the man came from behind her. Cloud Dance smell speech Aleng, at the beginning didn't react to come over, until, seemed to hear what sound of water. Turning his head, he saw that the man behind him had already sat in the pool of red blood. And his vision is still so hot, staring at her, that slightly raised corners of the mouth, as if very satisfied with what he saw. This situation is Yunwoo's face turned red, and there was a trace of shame and anger under his eyes. What does this man mean? Are you teasing her? However, immediately, Cloud Dance action is not slow, sat in the high temperature of the blood pool, with his back to him, what else to do next, directly clear. Long Qingxie chuckled, listen to your tone, it seems that I didn't do anything to you, you are very angry. Yunwoo's face was a bit embarrassed, but he was more upset. He took a deep breath, and then he resisted the impulse to turn around and give him a punch. Dragon Qing Evil also know how to control the propriety, did not play too much. So, after putting away the laughter, he said seriously, well, seriously, last night, I wanted to revive your body for you, but I failed at the last moment. Later, I found that there was something in your abdomen, and almost all the medicine that entered your body was absorbed by it. The Cloud dances to smell speech, eyebrows suddenly wrinkly. What he said was naturally the strange branch. Just, Cloud Dance how also didn't expect, originally has been hindering her body resurrection, unexpectedly is that in her body Dantian took root in the strange branch. There is no record of the dragon scroll. What the hell is that? Before, when I was knocked down in the torrent river in the northern forest, I had a branch running through my abdomen. Later, the branch was very strange. When I touched it, it shrank into my stomach. When I woke up, it had all entered my body, and I couldn't take it out. Later, I searched all the historical records, but I didn't find anything. This man, even the method of body resurrection can be found out, perhaps, he can find out, what is the branch in her body in the end. Although I can't feel any discomfort in my body, I always feel that it is an invisible threat. It makes her feel insecure. Cloud danced that words, immediately let the Long Qing evil frown. Although he felt something inside her, he never thought that it happened in the northern forest rapids. Branches? What do you mean by that branch? It seems that it's just a very common branch, but it should be highly toxic. The blood I vomited at that time was dark black. By the way, not long ago, I fell into a bottomless hole. At that time, a lot of wickers that can absorb the stone wall grew in my back waist skin. Later, after the bottomless cave, the wicker on the waist disappeared, and there was nothing uncomfortable about the body. Yunwu couldn't understand it and didn't think much about it. After hearing this, the dragon frowned and pondered for a few seconds. I'll find out. Don't think about anything else now. This pool of water is fresh animal blood, which has the magical effect of decay and growth. Your body hasn't come back to life yet, so you can't feel any rotten pain in the blood now, but wait a minute, when your body begins to transform and come back to life, you may feel pain, and you can hold it back. With that, Long Qingxia's two big hands had been pasted on her bright red back, and a purple streamer suddenly covered them. The blood in the pool is red, and it begins to bubble gradually, and the temperature rises gradually, giving people the feeling of being in the magma. Since Yunwu ate the fruits of 7 elements in the cave in the northern forest and suffered for 7 days and nights, it seems that she has a lot of pain, which is just a child for her. Blood pool bubble body, gradually some numb feeling rise, slowly began to numb pain, tingling, labor pain, drilling pain, but the pain was within the range that Yunwu could bear, but, strangely enough, her consciousness gradually became blurred. Whoosh! Cloud dance just feel, a suction suddenly a draw, her consciousness a close, suddenly entered a space. It's very spacious. It's a white space that can't see the edge. Spiritual space. Is this her spiritual space? Cloud dance can't help but curiously swept around. But soon, I felt something was wrong, because the surrounding space was too empty, and above the sky, there was a oppressive dark fog. It feels like some living creature. What is that? Cloud dance eyebrow a see you, want to open a mouth, but discover, her consciousness can't open a voice at all. But the existence of the black fog, inexplicably let the cloud dance have a sense of danger, the heart is also a little surprised. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.